What's up guys, it's Volga and welcome to a new build guide video. So today we have the Disintegrate Runemaster. It's a really nice build, very high damage, really fast for like kind of like 300 corruption, monolith farming. So this gameplay is from my stream, about like 300 corruption. Pretty much the optimal point for this build. I wouldn't go higher than that on this build, about like 350 corruption. Just because your range is very low, your channeling build, so you will be like very immobile, of course standing still while you're channeling. So at some point after 350 or maybe 400 corruption, your tankiness is going to be lacking, even though on paper you are quite tanky on this build. You have a lot of DR, flame ward, all that stuff, but at some point when the enemies do a lot of damage, you will be feeling the playstyle being kind of like unsuitable for hard content like arena, of course, also. So but as you can see, very high damage. That's the best point about this build. Really high damage, just like really fast to do echoes with this, and doesn't need much gear. So we basically only need Ignivar's head and Gambler's Fallacy and scale spell crit. So really like simple gearing. Of course you can min-max it quite a bit, but yeah, as you can see, I'm just spinning around and killing everything. So that's pretty much the qualities of this build. And here we have a shade of Oribus. Basically no mods on it, just like a no mod shade, but just to show the DPS a bit. So I drop Glyph and then I just blast the boss. And as you can see, we can pretty much almost kill it in like one mana pool, one channel worth of damage. And of course I hit with the glyph there, so I'm gonna lose my damage for 4 seconds. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you hit with the glyph, you will lose your damage for 4 seconds, but Disintegrate does snapshot the damage. So as long as you don't rechannel with the low damage, you actually still have your high damage up. But that's the one thing that you need to like keep in mind in bossing. Alright, and here we have D4 Lightness Arbor as usual. So yeah, I drop Glyph here and then just blast the boss. It might take a bit of getting used to the channeling playstyle, because yeah, especially with focus and glyph hitting, so you know, you hit with the glyph, you lose the damage, so you need to keep that in mind, as I said, and you need to focus back your mana. So as long as you just have a bit of practice, you can have really nice bossing with this. The damage is very high on it, so should be pretty easy to do all bosses, which it is. And but yeah, the playstyle takes a bit of getting used to. But yeah, as you can see, the damage is nice, super nice. Nothing to like worry about there. Alright, and starting with Disintegrate here. So this here, lot more damage, 50%, quite nice. And this is basically double damage here, so double beam on the skill, even though it does have a less damage multiplier, but it results in a lot of more damage. Basically, you have 2 beams. Then this here is important for the mana gain on kill, so you don't really need to use focus while you're clearing, because of this node here. And here we have 50% more damage, a bit of a delay on the cast, but that's totally fine. You could disable this for monolith if you just want to go like really fast, because we have so much damage that you don't really need this. And this here, so up to 35% less damage taken, really good. This is just trouble point, and the ailment does actually help us a bit, because we have some passives that require ignite or any kind of ailment on the enemy, so this is still some value as well. And on this one we convert all the damage to fire, so just a simple conversion. And so this is pretty big for damage, so we can upgrade the beam if we channel for a while. So this is 150% more damage. You also get more cost on the channel, but more mana cost, but that's fine. And this is even more damage, so it upgrades 1 tier more with this, so 300% more damage. And this makes it so the upgrading is faster on the tiers. There's really not many other choices you can even go for. We do have the range points here, but these are really either really low value. I mean, they're only 12%, or at least from my testing, they don't even seem to work. So, but maybe something you can test. The range would help if it actually works, but So if you have extra points, maybe you can go like maybe range, maybe some slow chance here, even mana cost, but that's not really needed. And then Glyph of Dominion. So we basically use this to buff ourselves. We don't use it for damage on its own, but it's just here to give us nice buffs for damage and tankiness. So basically, this is actually really important here. So you need to make the glyph last for longer with these points. So this is Lex expansion piece, speed, more duration, and more delay. So it lasts for like 8 seconds or something like that before it explodes. And something to keep in mind with the skill, the explode does hit enemies, so you will lose the Gambler's Fallacy buff. So most of your damage will be gone if you hit with the explosion. So try to not hit with it. So you need a bit of practice with that on bosses mostly, because you are going to hit at some point. So you can play around with the snapshotting of the disintegrate. Disintegrate does snapshot, so you can keep your damage even if it hits, but that takes a bit of practice basically. So here we have 40% more disintegrate damage, so even more damage, nice, and then 160 ward per second while you're channeling disintegrate on the glyph. And basically this makes it so the glyph is always on you, so you basically cast it at your feet, and we get even more ward per second per resistances, and this is more resistances, so the nice combo. So you get a lot of ward per second, nice bit of damage also from this. Alright, then we have teleport, so pretty classic setup for teleport, just the movement skill of course. We actually don't use the stun immunity on this build, because we are channeling, so if we are channeling we are already stun immune, but you could use this for like harder content, so you don't get stunned at all ever, but on this setup I went for just like max cooldown on it. You get armor, gold res, even more res here, and this makes it so the buffs last longer, so very simple tree. But yeah, this stun immunity is an option, but you're gonna have a longer cooldown on the skill, so this is my setup for mapping. Alright, and then flame ward, so of course super nice skill for defense. So first you must disable this retaliation here, because this hits enemies, and again you will lose Gambler's Fallacy buff if you hit with any skill. So you need to disable this, and so grab this point, and then +1 charge, you always get this, and just less damage taken, less elemental damage taken, and more duration on the skill. So very simple, not much choice you could do here. If you have extra points, maybe you can go for increased fire damage or something like that. Alright, and then focus. So this is mostly just for bossing, because like I said before, we have the mana gain on kill node in the disintegrate, so that basically in monolith you don't really need to use this, but you pretty much have to use this on bosses, so that's why it's here. So pretty basic setup, just more mana burst, you get haste after channeling, more mana regen, more mana regen again. Just this is pretty you need to like basically learn a bit if you haven't used focus a bit before, I mean. So you want to use focus while you're at negative mana, so you get like this like a big burst of mana, so you don't need to just like stay there and channel for long. So I maxed these points out. We don't really use focus often, so the cooldown is fine. We have a lot of cooldown also on the build, so cooldown is fine. And then more armor per int, so you're quite tanky while channeling focus, and then this a bit of DR also here. Right, and then the passives, so int, really nice, some health and mana. This we basically just get for the teleport cooldown. You don't need the cast speed, as Disintegrate does not scale with cast speed, except for the delay, if you have the delay point. And then a bit of crit chance, so a bit of more damage basically. And then on Sork, you grab the spell crit per int. I maxed this out, so basically we need to get to this node here, so max this out for the int. Armor, mana, really nice, and just a bit of traveling points here. And then this is the one we really want here, so fire pen and fire damage leech, so this is really good, a lot of damage, some nice sustain. And then for the Runemaster tree, so This here, 8% less damage taken from ignited, so we are igniting with the since we do have some ignite chance on the disintegrate tree, so this is nice. Some HP also, some travel points here, then ward per second, so a bit of defense here, and HP also. This is really nice node, this one, so less bonus damage taken from crits with a catalyst and int as well. So with this node we only need 1 T5 less damage taken from crits on our chest armor, so we don't need to build any crit avoidance, so really nice. And then this just for the crit chance we don't get the rune word, we don't actually crit anything, but just crit chance for the more damage. And then this here, so you after using teleport you basically get movement speed. You don't need to use these, but it's nice for mapping. You could just take all of these 4 points out and maybe take some more int or spell damage. But and this here, quite nice ward per second, so you should be standing on your Glyph of Dominion, of course, so you double this buff, so nice amount of ward per second. Then 8% more damage. We don't get the doubled effect on this build because we don't have any runes, so but it is still very good, so 8% more damage to bosses and rares. Then here, this you basically always have this on every Runemaster, so cooldown per int scaling, so 8 points here. And this is really nice, so elemental pen for damage over time, which we are of course doing. We don't get the brand, so because we never hit again, so we don't get the 7-point bonus here. But just this is basically the last 6 points. You can either go for the spell damage, or you could go for some more int. You get that way you get some more ward or ward retention and crit chance. But so that's kind of like your flex points with 6 points here. And one more thing on the passives. So we do have this armor while channeling per rune here. So you need to have runes for this to actually work, which we don't have. But if you want to use this, you of course need to have runic invocation on your bar. So you could perhaps, for monolith gaming, you could do runic invocation on your bar instead of focus, and spec this fully, so you have it's like 450 flat armor while channeling, so if you have 3 runes, so quite nice. And you get armor gain as ward. So this is something you could spec into for mapping, because you don't need to use focus. So maybe take the 6 points out and put them here, and have the runic invocation on your bar. And of course make sure to never actually use runic invocation, so because that's going to hit the enemies again, so never actually use it, just have it for the runes. Alright, and let's get to the gears. So of course the main requirement for this build is Ignivar's head and Gambler's Fallacy. So what this does is Disintegrate deals more damage equal to your spell crit chance. So we basically get as much spell crit as possible to get more damage on the skill. So this is a really common item, easy to get, but you need to have this. And then Gambler's Fallacy, it does not have to be the Soul Gambler's Fallacy, it can also be just the one from the campaign. So you get this from like basically the first story side quest, you get Gambler's Fallacy. But with this one you can also get LP on it. So we go for spell crit T7. Basically you go for spell crit T7 anywhere you can, or at least as high spell crit as possible. Does not have to be T7, but that's quite nice. So spell crit, elemental damage over time, if you actually happen to get 2 LP. It's quite easy to get this from the Soul Gambler in Soulfire Bastion. You should be doing D4 and just gambling amulets for this. And yeah, same thing on the Ignivar's head, just a lot of crit chance if you have LP. And this Peak of the Mountain here, so we don't ever crit, of course, so the downside of cannot leech does not matter. So a lot of crit chance, easy to get with LP. So you can go for you should at least have the spell crit chance on it if you get the LP. So that's the most important thing. Also HP is really important, so because we do want to be tanky. The rest is kind of just extra, some int armor. And for the weapon, so we don't actually have any suffixes we could use, so that's why I only have prefixes here and one sealed affix. So crystal wand for the mana, and also nice base, has a lot of spell damage, and then spell crit chance, elemental damage over time, and sealed crit. Of course, you could also have a T5 crit and sealed damage over time, but at least have the spell crit chance on it. And for the chest here, so this might be a bit of a might take a while to get this chest, because it's a lot of like rare affixes on it, but it's really like powerful. So for the prefixes, of course, crit chance, and keep in mind for this crit chance you need to have 300 max mana to double it, so that's something to keep in mind. So you want to hit the 300 mana threshold. And we get spell damage while channeling. You could also go int, of course, but that's a lot of flat damage with that affix, and suffixes, so HP and reduced bonus damage taken from crits, so no need for any crit avoidance. And then we seal one +1 charge for Flameboard, so a lot of value from this one item. And the base, if you can get this on this base, would be nice, so get some max mana, easier to hit the mana threshold. Then for the belt, pretty simple, it's HP, fire damage, elemental damage over time, and seal the cleanse and rings. So you want to go for copper rings if you can, so for the crit chance implicit, and then elemental damage over time, so a lot of increase here, and int, and just resistances, HP, endurance, and perhaps seal the crit chance, so even more damage there. And then for the gloves on this kind of like best in slot planner, I have Ravenous Void, and of course if you don't have these, you can just go for like Solarum Bracers with the crit chance implicit and get like a crit and HP and int, for example, on them. Those should be pretty easy to get, but we don't need the damage, so Ravenous Void is extremely nice, so a lot of tankiness from that. And then the relic here, the mana base is quite important if you want to hit the 300 mana, especially without using the blessing for the mana. So mana base, then just plus Disintegrate, spell crit chance, and the all-res while channeling is so nice for this, so we don't need to build much resistances with this. If you can get it exalted, would be, you know, really nice, of course. And then HP and seal crit chance. You could also seal Disintegrate +1 instead of crit chance and go for T5 crit, but that's up to you. But we don't really need that many points on Disintegrate, so even +1 would be enough. And then for the boots, so this mountain boots, of course, endurance attributes, classic, and then reduces the mana cost while standing still, which we are of course doing while channeling. And get movement speed on it at least, because otherwise you're gonna be really slow, and the HP would be nice on top. And then for the idols here, so basically full HP idols, and then one spell damage leached while channeling. So with this leech here and the one from the tree, we don't need more leech. You could go for the leech blessing if you really want to, but this is enough. And then crit chance prefix on it, and then the rest is just one slot idols. If you need rest, you can go for resistances or armor and HP if you don't need rest. And then the blessings, so crit chance here, like I said, you could go for leech also. And on this one here, so usually you go for mana, so you get the mana blessing, because most of the time you won't have over 300 mana without it, but this is also an option. But usually you go for the 80 mana, so it's actually like much easier to hit the 300 mana, and you don't have to have the exact bases on the items. And then all-res here, because we don't need crit avoidance, so we can actually go for the all-res, which is also more ward on Glyph of Dominion. And then armor while channeling, extremely nice, so we have a lot of armor from the armor blessings, and so I have about 60%, like 50 to 60%. And if you want to use, like I said, you could also use the passives for quite a bit of armor, quite a bit of more flat armor. And if we take a look at the stats, so I have over 2000% spell crit on this. So this means we get over 2000% more damage on these integrates. So you're gonna have at least 1.5k like really easily. That's really easy to get. Just a bit of spell crit, it's gonna be 1.5k or around there. That's already way more than you need. Even 1000% more damage is, that's already enough. And so pretty simple scaling. Basically this item makes all of your damage pretty much. And of course capped endurance, capped resistances. And of course you also have some multiplayer synergy on this build if you're actually playing some co-op. And so on Glyph of Dominion we have the ward node, so this actually works for allies as well. So as long as they are standing on your glyph, they also get the ward per second, so quite nice. And then on flame ward you could go for this node here. So flame ward can be cast on allies, so if you want to like help your friend out, for example, you can actually cast the flame ward on them. And this node actually also kind of interesting with if you're playing multiplayer, because this is doubled if you pass through a frost wall. So you could actually pass through your friend's frost wall, so you don't actually need the runes as you would need in solo. And of course we don't actually use frost wall because we don't have space for it. So this is actually something you could double in multiplayer. And you can also find this guide on Maxroll. So I have a full written guide on Maxroll, has all of the planners, skills, everything. You can everything is explained here like really nice, super in detail. So if you need more info, you can find it on Maxroll. Of course, you can also ask me in the comments or on Twitch. But this has a lot of information. So everything is explained. This is also most up to date. So this is the one I'm updating if there's any changes. We have all planners for starting, advanced, end game, best slot. So all the gear progression is here. What you need to go for. So check the Maxroll guide for most up to date, in detail written guide. So yeah, that's the build. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more high quality Last Epoch content. And yeah, see you in the next one.